everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for joining me today. Today we're going to be doing a fun video featuring a full furniture makeover. We're working with a wood veneer top today. Let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so before we really dive in and get started on this piece, one of the first things I like to do is go through it, give it the once over. Now I did pull the drawers when I bought the piece and checked it out, but when I get it back in the workshop, I really like to give it a good, thorough checking. So what I noticed is when I pulled some of the drawers open, they instantly dipped. So they fell about a quarter of the way after pulling them open. And there is a problem there. So I wanted to pull a drawer out and show you what it is. So what happens on some of these, the slide itself is just fine. But what happens is after time, there's little tabs here that break off. And so what'll happen is, even though it slides really well in and out, it'll dip or fall because there's nothing for this to hold on to. So let me show you. I have one in my hand that I'm going to show you. That is what it should look like. These little tabs right here are what has kind of either broken or worn off over time. So I'm going to fix those first. Then we're going to go ahead, vacuum out the piece and get it cleaned and prepped and ready to go. Just a little quick tip here. This is something I always do when I get the dresser home is I label the drawers underneath with a Sharpie, because some dressers or pieces will have an exact way that drawers go in. And so just so there's no confusion, if the new owner ever takes them out, they'll know right where to put them back in. Okay, so I wanted to show you guys something. See this gap right here? This sits flush, this has a gap. Well, that makes a difference when the drawer slides because this is lifted a little bit. So there's two things I can do. I can shoot a nail in there with my nail gun, or I can put some wood glue in there, or do both. And so what I'm going to do is put some wood glue in there, and what I'm using, I get these off Amazon. I will list them in the show notes, but these are my little needles. I fill it with my wood glue, and then all I can do is go in here. This is perfect because I can shoot the wood glue directly in there and really get it in where it needs to be, and then I will clamp it down. So just a little trick there to show you guys. Completely filled it with wood glue, and now what I'm going to do is take my clamp and clamp it down. All right, so our piece is all ready to go. It has been cleaned. It has been vacuumed out. It has had the drawer fixes done. It is ready to go. So now our next step is to go ahead and get the paint on there. You can see I did some little wood fill fixes there. There was some chips in the veneer, but we are ready to go. So let's get the paint on. Once we get the paint on the body, then we're gonna do the custom tag. As always, I like to mask up. If you're wondering, this is my RZ mask, and today I'm using the Urlex 5500 for this job. Okay, I totally forgot something and I caught myself right before I started. I didn't tape up the hardware holes, and normally that's what I like to do. I just take some painter's tape and I put it on the back side there so that none of the overspray will get inside the drawers. It will save you time later from having to do more cleanup. So real quick, I'm gonna go ahead and tape all of the hardware holes up on the inside of the drawers. All right, it's finally time to go ahead and get this paint on the dresser. Although, as you can see here, I'm feeling like things aren't coming out normal. It's coming out really, really slow, and it's not providing very good coverage. So right about here is when I decide I'm gonna stop what I'm doing and figure out what the problem is. Okay, I stopped because I did thin this. I didn't show you guys it on camera, but I did go ahead. I've shown that so many times, I just skipped that step. But I did filter my paint and I did go ahead and thin it. But I feel like it's not pushing through really well, and it's taking me a lot to get it out. So sometimes that can be the fact that I just didn't thin it quite enough. And I really was conservative because the Lilly Moon paint is pretty thin consistency on its own. But I am gonna go ahead, stop what I'm doing, add a tiny bit more water, and then come back. Okay, so this is first coat. It is wet. It is not pretty. And I want you guys to remember, I tell you this all the time. It is usually not pretty. So you have to give it its opportunity to dry down and then go ahead and put on your second coat. That's where you're gonna see the look come together. The finish is gonna start to take its shape and it's gonna look beautiful. So let's go ahead and get the sides. So here we are at the end of the first coat. Wanted to show you, yes, I have some little areas that I sanded through. I saw some little problem areas, so I just knocked them down with a little sandpaper. Here I went ahead and just filled that with some putty, so I had a little line there. But as you can see how beautiful that is, it dries down so pretty. The color is beautiful. It comes out a lot darker than when you see it go on. And yeah, the coverage is fantastic. I did a little sanding here too, but this is normal, okay, for first coat coverage. And then you can just see though how beautiful. So let's go ahead and get that second coat on. All right, let's go ahead and get this second coat on. Now, what I typically do, especially right now in the winter time, and I am located in Northern California, and yes, it is cold here too. Not as cold as like the Midwest or back east, but it is still cold. So we have to yield longer dry times, and right now, I'm waiting at least 3 to 4 hours before I'm recoating, just because it's really detrimental to your finish if you recoat too soon and your first coat hasn't had the opportunity to really dry. So just make sure that if you are not working in a heated space, that you are making sure you wait the longer time for drying in between. As you can see, this second coat is going on absolutely beautiful. If you're wondering how far away I am from the actual piece, I'm about 8 inches away. I typically have my spray pattern turned down so that I eliminate a lot of overspray, which makes me be able to be closer to the piece and get more paint on as well. So now we're at the part of the video where I always prop the piece up on their back, and that way I can get what I call the undercarriage or underbelly of the piece. This will allow me to get right here. It will allow me to get underneath these areas. And also sometimes when you're spraying straight on, even though you might position your spray gun, you think you're getting in this area here and you're not. So by doing this, and all I do is take my dolly and I put it directly underneath and I just prop her on her back. So this is the third and final coat on the drawer fronts. I've only done one coat here underneath. I will do one more pass once it's dry, but that way I just get every little nook and cranny there is. And as you can see, this is what it looks like when it's drying. It can be a little scary or intimidating, and you might be thinking, oh boy, this is not gonna dry pretty. I assure you, once this is all dried down, it comes out absolutely beautiful, and I will show you as soon as this is dry. Hi everyone, good morning, I am back. We are now ready for our next part of the project, and that is to clear coat. Now, I do wanna say I've done many videos with Lilly Moon paint, and you do not have to clear coat her paint. However, I want to because I like to give it extra durability and longevity for the life of the project. So I'm gonna go ahead and clear coat it today. Plus, I want a little bit more of a sheen than what I've got here from my finish. So it is totally optional and you don't have to do it. I do typically let it sit overnight. So I finished this up last night. I'll show you guys an up close of what it looks like. I did go ahead all together and do 3 coats. Even though it's a dark color, I did full 2 coats, and then I went over it again in just certain spots with a 3rd for optimal coverage. So let me show you up close what it looks like, and then let's get... Here is what it looks like with the 3 coats. The color is absolutely beautiful. I'm blown away. I was a little nervous to do this, I gotta be honest, because color is outside of my comfort zone, but I think when the whole project comes together, it's gonna be exactly like I envision it. So let me just show you up close so you guys can really take a peek at how beautiful this paint dries down. It is absolutely gorgeous, and it has a really kind of a matte finish. And so what I'm gonna do is be using a satin finish top coat just to give it a little extra sheen. So here's the top. Just wanted to show you guys again, it's in really good shape. No need to do anything other than just give it a quick scuff sand. Now, what is a scuff sand if you don't know? It is just taking a fine grit sandpaper in this case, because we're gonna be painting the top. We don't need to go and bust out the orbital sander or even my surf prep. All you need is some fine grit sandpaper. I'm gonna use 320, and I'm just gonna lightly scuff the top. It will make for better adhesion, and that, along with cleaning, will give you a really great finish. All right, time to do the top. So we're gonna be using 3 different colors to give ourselves a faux wood look: Mountain Mist, Rattan, and Dark Roast. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, so we start with 3 brushes, 1 for each color, and my mister bottle. And then I go ahead and you can either put your paint in Dixie cups or work straight out of the jar. I am not using a watered down version at all. This is 100% just from the jar. That's what we're going to use our mister bottle for. There's definitely different ways to apply these type of tops. Today, this is just the way I'm doing it. So I'm going to go ahead and lay down my base color, which is the Mountain Mist. That's going to go ahead and give us a nice start to be able to get this faux wood finish. Now, I do want to say, as you see me putting on this first base coat, it's not looking perfect. That will come with time. So when I'm laying down my base coat, I'm only concerned about getting all the product on the actual piece. The perfecting it and blending it will come, as you will see shortly. We're gonna go ahead now and go in with our rattan, and now is where I introduce the mister bottle. As you can see, I've done nothing to the base coat. All I'm doing now is adding my secondary color, and I'm kind of doing it sporadically. Now, I am taking my mister bottle, so now it's starting to blend. And as you see the process being done, you see it starting to come together. Now, just so you know, you can use as much of one color or another as you want. Let's go ahead and go in with the dark roast. With this one, I just want a few little accents of this dark color. So as you can see, I'm kind of just putting in these long dashes of color. Now, what I'm gonna do is take my mister bottle and one of my other paint brushes. I'm offloading some of the paint there. And not to worry about that little blue bowl there, it will blend in. So I'm taking my mister bottle and I'm basically repeating the same process. I'm going from one end of the dresser top to another. I have not let any of these really dry. I'm going in one right after the other and just continually blending them all in until I get a look that I'm happy with. And now I'm going to go ahead and do the sides. And basically with the sides, I just kind of do the same thing. I just layer up the different colors and very gently so that I'm not splattering paint all over my freshly painted piece below that no, I didn't cover up. One of the reasons I do it the way I do it, where I paint it and then I top coat the base, is so that if I were to get any of this paint on there, it will wipe off very easily. And so then you will see me after we're done with the top coat it, and you might wonder, why wouldn't you just top coat it all at once? That's why. Okay, so here we are. The very first coat, the first pass at this is done, and I'm really liking it. I actually think I want to put in more of this color, which is the rattan. So now what I'm going to do is give it a quick little scuff sand with one of my fine grit sanding pads. I will show you that. And then I'm going to go in with my second coat. As you can see, it is very imperfect. That is the way it's supposed to look, because that is the way wood looks. It is not perfect. You're not going to get like this look down here. You're going to get something with variation and color and texture. So let's go ahead and do the second. This would be normally my last and final coat of this finish. However, I made a blunder, so I'm going to share it with you guys. I started to use that foam sponge instead of the brush, which I should have just continued with the brush, and I started to pull up in this little area here the paint. It was too much. It was too heavy, too concentrated, and I pulled it up. So not to fret, what I'm going to let this do is dry, so you can still see it's kind of wet. I'm going to let that dry. I'm going to knock that texture down a little bit with my sanding pad, with this guy right here, and then I will do a third coat. But typically, you could be done after 2 coats, and this is kind of what you get. So it's really pretty. All right, we are at the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching today. Thank you for being subscribers. If you aren't subscribed, please make sure you go hit that subscription button as well as the post notification bell so you're notified when all of my latest videos are released. As well, it allows you to be a part of my YouTube community and it helps support my channel and keep me going. If you guys have any positive questions or comments, make sure you leave them down below, as I always will get back to you with your questions, and I love engaging with you guys. Thanks again, and I'll catch you on the next video.